13th of January 2024. In this edition of Let's Talk and Think, I'm going to talk about this video that Carl Niehaus he's now from the EFF, is spreading on social media. Now I'm going to play clips out of that video and I will discuss the statements he makes. Something that the types of Carl Niehaus, or Carl Kakais as I call him, very conveniently ignores is that the history of the world was written by conquests and invasions and things like that, and wars and all of that. That is how countries has been established. Smaller tribes started getting stronger and then they take their neighbors and carry on like that, and it's been going on right through the ages. So we get into 2024 that there are certain land masses that are occupied by people. They're not empty, they're occupied by people. South Africa specifically is currently occupied by black people and by non-black people. And all of them lays claim to land. And it's a historical thing. But Carl Kakais is adamant the land must go back to the original owners. Now let's listen to him.
Mm-hmm. It also means that those who have taken the land from the rightful owners, from the indigenous people in this country, have to return the land.
All right. So in this clip, he says, those that have taken the land must give it back. So those that took the land, as he says, are all dead and gone. And it happened hundreds of years ago under totally different conditions. By his statement, it then means that all the land must be returned to the Khoi San, and all blacks must fuck off back to Central and Western Africa, and all whites must fuck off to Europe. That is what he is saying. At the same time, it will then also mean that all the whites and Latinos must fuck off out of America and give the land back to the Red Indians, those that are still left. The same goes for Canada, Australia, New Zealand. That is what Carl Kakais is saying. All the people that are currently living in America must fuck off, because America belongs to the Red Indians. That's what he is saying. So to satisfy Carl Kakais, the whole of South Africa must be given to a few remaining Khoi San. That is what he is saying. But let's carry on.
Now that doesn't go down very well with some of these Afrikaner farmers. But you know what? Tough luck for them. They have to face the reality of the new South Africa. The land must be returned to the original owners, and the land must be there for the wealth and the empowerment of the people.
Again, he says the land must be returned to the original owners. Well, that will be the Khoi San, and not the settlers from Central and Western Africa. As for his tough luck, let's wait and see how tough he is when he tells all the blacks that they must go back north. But let's carry on.
Let me give you an example. If you come and steal my car, and I find out there's Titus's home, that is where my car is parked.
Yes.
Well, I go there with my wallet and come to you and say, Titus, can I pay you for my stolen car? That's nonsensical.
Absolutely not.
But unfortunately, that is what the ANC negotiated at Kudesa.
Now, in this example of his, I must say, I just shook my head. This is where he displays the typical nonsensical logic that they so fondly claim to be superior logic. First of all, just as he bought the car, originally, I have bought my land. And this government issued me a title deed. So it is my land, bought and paid for. Same as his car. What he is trying to say is that my purchase of the land is theft and his purchase of the car is legal. How does he get to that conclusion? The same government that recognizes his ownership of the car recognizes my ownership of the land I bought. Sorry, Kareltjie, the superior logic has failed. But let's carry on.
Because we went and enshrined in the Constitution, Section 25, we went and enshrined property rights in the Constitution, which gives property rights to the white community who are the benefactors of the colonial stealing of the land. Now we say if we want land, the land must be paid for. Isn't it the same as you've stolen my car, but if you want my car to come back to me, I must pay you? That's absolute nonsense.
The reality of Section 25 in the Constitution is nonsense in his view. Now my question is, all the millions of blacks that has bought land, is he going to be the one to tell them that he and the EFF is going to take their land and give it to the Khoi San? And you must understand, he makes no difference between Oom Piet's farm out on the Springbok vlakte and your house that you bought in some estate. He makes no distinction between the two. All he wants is, he wants the land. But the reality is he tells you he's going to give that land to the Khoi San. But let's listen.
So if the white community doesn't like the reality that they've been benefactors of colonial thievery and that the land must be returned to the rightful owners, then it is hard luck for them.
Hard luck for the whites, he says. But what about the blacks that owns their land? Look at this map of Limpopo. All the colored sections belongs to the state or organs of the state. That is already more than 60% of Limpopo. The 40% left is private farms, and they've got black and white owners. There are also towns and villages on that white sections. So what Carl Niehaus is proposing is that the 40% must also be returned to the state. And then the state must give all of that to the Khoi San. And all the people living there must fuck off back to where their ancestors came from. How brilliant is that? How logic is that? That fucking logic is broken. What he is also saying is that the Swazi, the Sotho, the Tswana, and the Zulu kings had no right to do land deals with the Boere. So by implication, he says, fuck those kings, they stole the land from the Khoi San. But in his typical shit for brain superior logic, he wants to turn back the clock for a small section of the population, while the clock must stay still in its position for the chosen people. So his view is that America must be given back to the Red Indians, Australia to the Aborigines, New Zealand to the Maoris, Canada to the Red Indians, South America to the remnants of the original tribes, while all the current inhabitants of these lands must go back to their homelands. So the country, South Africa, will belong to a few 100,000 claimed Khoi San. My question is this: when the current 65 million blacks go back, will the Congo and Western Africa be happy to accept them? More important, will those 65 million blacks be happy to go? Carl Niehaus will not answer that, because his superior logic cannot process that. The sense of entitlement and the perpetual victim mentality is draining all the power out of the low IQ brains. And when confronted with real logic, they roll their eyes in their heads and hit the trusted line. We want the land. But they are clueless about what they are really talking about. Reality is that the state already owns 70% of the land, and now they are driving the masses to destroy that last 30% as well. Incidentally, it is that 30% that feeds the whole nation. But Kareltjie don't give a shit about your famine. All he wants is his comfortable home with all the best food he can eat. But once again, Moses 6 verse 6, stupid people must suffer, and suffer they will. Please give me a like and subscribe and share the thing. Thank you for your support.